This is part 3 to the 8th grade project puzzle design. In the previous video, we made all of our parts in OnShape. What we're going to do now is we're going to work on assembling those parts. So I have an assembly here that's open. The key to assembling yours is going to be this 3-tier document that we talked about in class and in the first video briefly. So please have that handy, as it's often easy to get lost in a three-dimensional space. So I'm going to click on Insert in my assembly. I'm going to click on my puzzle piece 1. I'm going to left click to place that into my environment. I'm going to close this out with a green check mark. And I'm going to right click on this piece and click Fix. What this does, it locks my piece in place. I've set that rule because remember, my 3D world doesn't have any rules. It's up to me to constrain them using geometry to set those rules. So the first one is just to say, hey, I want to pin this piece to my environment or my sheet of paper. Now, looking at my document, I want to insert puzzle piece 4 next. I'm going to click on it and it will load into the environment, and I'm going to left click. Closing in my green check mark. It's often easier to work one piece at a time. The reason I chose piece 4 was it's the piece that directly sits here according to my document. I can see 1 sits here in the top view, 4 sits next to it. So I'm going to click on planar mate, or fasten mate, I'm sorry, but you can also use planar mate. If it's easier for you to constrain it using the XYZ axis rather than a fixed point, feel free to use the planar mate. I'm going to choose the fasten mate. And what I'm going to say is I want this side point here to fasten to this side point here. Now you're going to say that isn't right, but what I have here is I have my revolve and my flip. I'm going to flip that mate on the axis, and then I'm going to revolve my piece or rotate it down. Green check mark, and I now have my 2 pieces constrained according to my 3-tiered document. What I can look at is my next piece that I'm going to probably want to do is my piece 3. It kind of fills in this gap here of where 1 and 4 meet. So I'm going to insert part 3 and bringing it into my workspace. Green check mark to close. And again, I'm going to choose that fastened mate. So I'm going to come up to my fastened mate. I'm going to revolve around, and I'm going to say, you know what, that corner point there would match up with this corner point here. If I can, there we go. I can look at it. I don't need to revolve or flip it. It fits in there just nicely. And clicking on my green check mark. Looking at my original tiered document, I can see part 3 exists in the top layer there, comes into the layer here, and then comes in on, which I can see again, 3, layer 2, and comes in on the bottom layer. So this would be according to my document so far. I can close out on this, and I would look and I could insert my next part. So at this point, we get the general idea, and you continue working. Please have that sketch handy, as it often becomes difficult as you're rotating around. Remember that the XYZ axis here is shown is often a way to orientate yourself and to find your home.